in these past years. So thank you, Mr. Harris. We very much appreciate this, and thank you, Tupper. You've been working on this diligently. We very much appreciate it. Okay, we have another individual here. Mr. Harris, you might want to listen to some of this. The foundation is here. Cecily's here with one of her board members, and they have, I think, an exciting proposal related to the Fuji site. So if they could come forward, and Cecily, you could take things over from here.
President Irwin, Commissioners, thank you very much for hearing our proposal tonight. It must be the night for the Innovations Committee to consider public-private partnership ideas. As you know, the Minneapolis Parks Foundation has been very interested in the Fuji site for several years, and we have met and with a number of organizations, particularly the Minneapolis Riverfront Partnership and other organizations and individuals in the area who are really interested in seeing this Fuji site become a very vibrant public space. I would like to introduce one of our board members, Paul Riles, who's also our board treasurer. He has stepped forward with an idea and a proposal that will help move development of the Fuji site forward if the commissioners are supportive of this. We at the foundation and the board think that it's a great proposal. We're really pleased to have Paul on our board, and I'm going to turn this over to him and let him tell you more specifics about what he's proposing and what the foundation will be supporting.
Thank you, Cecily. I don't have any slides. President Irwin, Commissioners, thank you for this opportunity to speak to you about the Fuji site. As Cecily mentioned, she and I have participated in discussion meetings about the future of the Fuji site for the past year or so. And it appears to us that there's broad interest and support for the development of a public reuse plan for this site. We believe the Parks Foundation can attract private resources similar to what Mr. Harris is proposing to support development of the site, and it's our intention that the site would be dedicated to public use, not for private use. It also appears that the Fuji site is not addressed in the Minneapolis Riverfront Development Initiative, at least directly. But we believe that what we're proposing would be complementary to that initiative generally and to the Library Square River connection specifically, and I guess by implication all the other projects that go on up toward the Walker Sculpture Garden. We believe there are four major reasons to give focus and priority to this site. Number one, the Park Board owns the land, has for 20 years or more. The site is very close to downtown. Number three, we think that if it's properly developed, this site could be the major downtown gateway to the river and to the Stone Arch Bridge. Last but not least, the Stone Arch Loop already has an estimated 750,000 visitors annually passing near the site. We think we can enhance the experience for these visitors and at the same time develop revenue-generating opportunities that support the financial sustainability of the site's amenities. So what are we proposing? We're proposing that the Minneapolis Park Foundation engage a team of professionals that has agreed to develop a Phase 1 Fuji site master plan and program. I will fund these services through the Minneapolis Parks Foundation, and the Foundation's Executive Committee, which consists of 6 board members, including Cecily and myself, would oversee and review the development of the plan. As I mentioned earlier, we envision only public use of the site. And I think it's important to know that not only do I not live anywhere near this site, I have no personal or financial interest in this proposal. The Minneapolis Park Foundation will coordinate with the Park and Recreation Board on getting citizen input through the MPRB's Citizen Advisory Committee process. And we hope to learn more about that process, as I understand you're considering revising it. The goal of Phase 1 is the creation of a visual presentation summarizing our findings and a recommended vision for the site development, along with next steps in the development process. Integral to the process would be the development of feasibility and market analyses of potential public-private revenue-generating uses on the site, and the identification of funding resources. Just as a note, my understanding is that the Park Board has engaged the services of HR&A advisors, and they would be a significant player in our team as well. So there may be an opportunity to get some synergies between the various projects that they're already working on. Assuming that the site master plan has the support of the Park Board, the Minneapolis Park Foundation, and the community, I'd be prepared to provide material financial support for the development project, and with the foundation, I'd champion our private sector fundraising efforts. I'd comment briefly on my reason for wanting to support this project. One of the basic premises of the Park Foundation is that our citizens have a great appreciation for the park amenities that we've inherited. And there are those who, like the founders of our park system, want to leave a legacy for future generations. And this premise bears directly on my motivation for proposing this initiative. And I'm hopeful that there are others that will be similarly motivated. With respect to timing, we would hope that the Citizen Advisory Committee process could start within the next month, and we think the Phase 1 process could be completed in about a 3-month time frame. So we believe the Fuji site presents a unique opportunity to create a vibrant experience. Vibrancy is sort of a buzzword for the foundation, for generations of visitors at the river's edge, and the foundation would welcome this chance to develop a public-private partnership with the Park Board. So thank you for your attention. I don't know if there are questions, and if there are, if I can answer them. But
I think it would be good for, if people have questions, for them to take the opportunity now. Liz, Commissioner Walensky.
I actually have a question. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Commissioner Tabb.
I would like to say the same thing. It's just outside the bounds of my district, but it's an area that I think we've struggled with for a while, and I think this has a lot of very exciting potential. And I'm delighted to see that people have a real interest in downtown Minneapolis. I think it's a great city, and I think that we have a lot of people who clearly have a lot of support for that city, and I think projects like this will continue to make our city a great place to be, and hopefully attract more people to downtown and more people, again, to the region. So thank you so much for being willing to do this.
Thank you. I think it is a difficult site. I think it's a challenging site, but I also think that properly addressed, that it has very high potential.
Okay. Commissioner Breland.
And again, I've had the benefit of looking at what is existing at the building, and there's a marvelous pro bono study that Tom Meyer and his company did, and I would love to have that presented to the board. I have it if board members want to look at it, but it isn't so much about what the building could or should become, but what we have there. And what we have there is this great treasure with 7 different archaeological ruins that can be accessed by it. The other piece is the power of the falls, and I'm on the St. Anthony Falls Heritage Board, and really having been here and watched the transformation of the Central Riverfront, the Central Riverfront isn't done, and there's so much more that can happen that will make this an even more exciting world-class place for folks to visit and hometown folks to really take pride in. And the Fuji-a is a very integral piece of this. So I'm really glad that you've stepped forward. The devil's always in the details, but I think this is kind of an open process for a very thorough discussion of what it could and should become, and you're appropriately engaging the park board and citizens in that process. And again, if this I have some ideas of what it might become. I've heard ideas out there. And if we can really look at the broadest picture of what's best and then kind of dial back down to what folks have talked about, that would be a great approach. And I think that's what's going on here. And again, it's this with the restoration of the falls on the east side of the river, an opportunity to develop that park would mean that folks could spend several days exploring this area, and there would be many, many facets of this jewel to look at. And this is a very underutilized, very important piece. So I thank you and Cecily and the foundation for stepping forward and working on this. It's been tied up in litigation, and we've been unable to really deal with it for so long. But it's something that's really important. We have a lot of work to do in the upper river. We have capacity issues, so I'm very appreciative that we're getting some assistance and that it's being coordinated with us. So thank you.
Well, I thank you, and I appreciate your receptivity. I really feel like you've been very responsive to everyone here, including President Irwin.
I just would like to add, I think this is wonderful. This is not only a wonderful gift that you're giving the park board essentially through the foundation, but this is a great kickoff for the foundation to help the foundation have kind of a key project that they focus on that I think will be just successful. And I think it's important for commissioners to know, we say the Fuji site, but this also is including the area around and in front of in between the post office and the river itself. So it's a broader area than just only the Fuji site itself.
Right. The site extends all the way over to the 3rd Avenue Bridge.
Yes.
So it's quite a bit.
So it's that entire area. We are focusing more on the farther north because we really do want to connect the northeast and north to the river in a better way than we have. So we don't have the resources to work on this right now, but you're making that possible. So we very much appreciate this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Cecily to work with Don and come together. And the first step would be to essentially develop an agreement that would be related to how to accept the planning monies and go through the planning process. What will happen is that would come back to the board or to this committee, and then this committee would also make a recommendation on a CAC charge that would go to the full board at some point. I can tell you this, though, the month that you're talking about is not possible with our process, as Ray's found out, right, Ray? It takes a little bit more time than that. The Citizens Advisory Committee, a lot of people are going to want to have input into this, and I think you'll find people will be excited about it, but they're going to want to have the opportunity to share their views on this. I see Edna in the back, and I'm sure Edna has opinions on this as well, and she'll be very interested in sharing them. So the time frame might be a little longer than what you're thinking, but what we want to do is make sure that something comes forward that the public can support and that everyone can get behind.
Yes, I think my comment really was intended to mean that we would start the process within the month.
Okay.
Understanding it'll take longer than that.
Commissioner Breland.
Again, I don't have my calendar in front of me, but the St. Anthony Falls Heritage Board meets in July. The superintendent, Commissioner Walensky, and I are on that board. I don't know if there's been any discussions, but again, it's kind of a missing piece. It was kind of a blank spot in the interpretive plan, and now might be a good time to because it was in litigation, it was kind of excluded from those conversations. Now might be the time to make sure that all those folks are engaged in this conversation as well.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming this evening, and please, Cecily and Paul, if you could talk with the Assistant Superintendent Sigleco and to start that process of putting together a framework of an agreement. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I would entertain a